This is Flipping Junkie Podcast, episode 53. Welcome to the Flipping Junkie Podcast. My name is Danny Johnson, former software developer turned house flipper, flipping hundreds of houses. Each week, we bring you interviews, strategies, stories, and motivation to help you get started flipping houses and on your way to becoming your own boss and achieving financial freedom. Thanks for spending time with me today. Now let's get to it. All right, we got a great episode today with Brett Snodgrass of SimpleWholesaling.com. They've got a great podcast, and we should talk about some marketing stuff that he's doing. He's doing direct mail and then buying from HUD. So he's buying HUD foreclosures through their website and doing a great job of it. And I think he said he did 3 deals just from that over this last month. And so definitely something to look into. Shares all the details. It's going to be a great episode. So I'm glad you guys tuned in today to listen to this podcast episode. Then we're going to talk a little bit about the strategy and system for buying houses online as well. Enjoy the show. Okay, hey Brett, thanks for being on the show.
Hey Danny, thank you so much for having me. Super stoked and juiced up beyond flipping junkie. Not literally juiced, but
yeah, we all know. We talked before the show. We know what's going on. No,
yeah.
I'm just kidding. Hey, we had a lot of trouble getting this recording going, so I just want to, thank you, Brett, for being patient. It seems like little things happen, and he was very cool about. Let's see, it's now been probably about 45 minutes since we were supposed to get started. So thanks for being patient. And
no problem. Hopefully you don't mind my muscle shirt. Like our AC actually went out in our office, so it's like 95 in here right now. So I just figured I would, pipe out the guns.
Nice.
For your show.
That's awesome. All right, and so do you want to give a little bit of background? I mean, you've got the Simple Wholesaling podcast, which is awesome. Everybody ought to check it out. Do you want to give a little bit of background about, how you got started, why you got started flipping houses and wholesaling?
Yeah, definitely. I got started about 9 years ago, and I've always been kind of an entrepreneur. I've bought and sold pretty much anything. I started buying and sell candy, in junior high. I would buy and sell cars when I'm in my early 20s, buy and sell stereo systems to DVDs or whatever I could buy and sell. I've always just had that inside of me. But my parents were both teachers, so I didn't know what to do with my life. So I decided I was going to become a teacher. So that's what I went to college for. And it only lasted about 4 months. When I got out of college, I said, man, this just isn't for me. I love entrepreneurship, and I never really had a real job. I've never went into an interview, never put in a resume. Just kind of started from the get-go, just this entrepreneurial thing. And obviously, I started reading books, and I'm sure you guys talk a lot about Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I read The Millionaire Next Door. Read The Millionaire Real Estate Investor. All these different books. And I was like, man, these guys are making a lot of money through real estate. And I'm like, man, these wealthy people, a lot of it just came through passive income or whatever. So I said, I need to check this stuff out. So, I didn't know what I was doing, but during the time, we all knew that the market was starting to tank because this was like 2007, the end of 2007 or so. And I didn't realize, and I saw these cheap properties online. And my very first property I saw in Youngstown, Ohio, and didn't know anything about Youngstown, Ohio, but I saw that you could actually buy a house for $9,000. I was like, no, that can't be possible. You can actually buy a frame and a roof and bathrooms and kitchen for $9,000. I mean, I couldn't even, build a deck for $9,000. I didn't think so, but I did it, and I bought this house sight unseen. I'm from Indianapolis, so I drove 6 hours one way to go visit this house, and cleaned it up. But I only had $10,000 to my name. Actually, I only had 5, and my dad had 5. So I pulled him in, and I said, "Dad, we're gonna buy this house for $9,000. Let's do it." So he's like, "Oh, whatever. I want to retire anyways." And so we poured in, but we only had $1,000 left after we bought this house. So what are we gonna do? So then we just marketed it and sold it to another investor, and that's when we started this whole wholesaling thing. And I didn't even know what we were doing. I didn't know there was a term for what we were doing. I called it buying a house and selling it fast because I don't have any money to fix it up. And that's kind of how it got started. And then we did it with one house. We ended up selling the house for 15, so I made $6,000. And I said, man, what is this? If we can do it with one, can we do it with 100? And that's kind of how it all got started.
Awesome. So what kind of profit did you make on that first one?
We bought it for 9 and we sold it for 15.
Nice.
So, and I was used to being, honestly, a substitute school teacher, and I was making $13,000 a year, So like, I can make $6,000 on one deal, and I'm like, dude, that's like half my salary. I mean,
you take 6 months off now.
Yeah, I was going on vacation, man.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what we wanted to talk about today was, we're in the middle of this series where we're talking about marketing, and we've done a lot of episodes on direct mail, and because that's what a lot of people are doing. Just real quick, are you doing direct mail, and what kind of direct mail are you doing?
Yeah, so people always ask, this whole direct mail thing came to me just a couple of years ago, and this guy, he says, hey, you need to try this direct mail thing out. And at that time, it was just me, and then I hired one assistant. And this assistant, I didn't have much for him to do, so I said, why don't you try writing these letters? I hear people are like mailing out these letters, and people call them, and I don't know if it works, so let's try it. So he was actually handwriting all of our letters, and then I didn't know, I just bought lists off of the main websites, List Source. We also use agentpro247.com. Trying to find people delinquent in their taxes, whatever. And we just started doing that. And that's how we got started. We were only doing like 250 letters a week. And because he was handwriting them all, so we couldn't do that many. And then it started working. And I was like, oh my gosh, what is going on? We would spend $1,000 and we would make $6,000 off of the deals, So I was like, okay, spend 1,000, make 6, spend 1,000, make 6. What if we ramp this up to 10,000 letters a month? What if we ramp it up to 20,000 letters a month? And actually, that's what we're doing now. We use just a direct mail company here in Indianapolis. I've tried some of the other online companies, but I realized I love it when it's stamped from Indianapolis and it's not stamped from Las Vegas or California. So I found a guy here locally, and I said, here's what I want to do. And he said, we're his best customers. He said he doesn't have anybody else sending out 20,000 pieces a month.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And, so that's what we do, and that's what we ramped it up.
Yeah, are you guys getting, so is it metered, or is there a live stamp on there? What's the...
I've tried it both ways. We obviously we save a lot of money if it's metered. So this last batch, we sent out like a wedding invitation, yellow letter, looks like a wedding, somebody's getting invited, but it's metered, so it really doesn't. It looks like, you're getting invited to your boss's wedding, I guess.
So is like a card inside too, or is it still a letter inside?
There's a postcard, basically just a yellow letter type of postcard, and we just say, we want to buy your house, and call us. My guy's name is Alex, and just call us. We want to buy it, and then, we'll send out 20,000 letters like that, and we'll get about 500-600 phone calls, and then those will be like 300 to 400 leads, or say 300 leads that we'll put in, and then we'll get right now we're doing about 15 deals a month, I'd say, but they're not all from there. But I'd say from direct mail, we're doing about maybe 10 deals a month, I'd say right now. So
nice.
That's a direct mail for you.
Yeah. So if you got a list that big, and your market, what's the size of your market about roughly?
We do Indianapolis. We've got 1.8 million people here. And people ask, what list do you send to? I've tried a lot of different things. I've tried the absentee owners. I've tried delinquent tax people. But I've always found that, somebody asked me the other day, and I was like, who do you mail to? And I want to be politically correct, obviously, but I said, I mail to old people. And he's like, you mail to old people? And I was like, yeah, it just seems like we buy most of our houses from older people over 55, or 60, So actually, we just try to target people over like 55 or 60, and that's kind of what we do. And we even stopped doing absentee owners. Now we're trying, even homeowners, and we're just trying to people over 55 years old. Yeah,
because they mostly have the equity. So do you also filter by equity, or you just leave it at age alone?
I do filter. I do about 50% equity. So, probably similar to other people, because, we buy cash, and we don't get into subject twos or any type of stuff like that. So to make it simple, we need the equity in there, because somebody says, 100,000 by 90, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and it eats up all you guys' time too. If you're taking calls from people that there's no way that you can buy their house.
Yeah,
and it's just eating up your time. Yeah, so, Yeah, that's awesome. And then uh, I completely forgot what I was going to say. So the response from your direct mail seems pretty good, and you said you were doing about 10 deals. So the 20,000, but so you were able to find a list of 20,000. So that's basically blanketing the whole city. You're targeting every area in the city.
Pretty much, it is hard. You get to a certain point where like, man, I can't mail out anymore. I'm going to mail to the same people like every week,
Yeah.
And so this time we got 26,000 people on our list, and we just blanketed the whole city kind of over 55 years old is kind of what we did.
Cool.
And I don't know if we blanketed the whole city. I think we picked up certain zip codes, but yeah, but if once you start narrowing it down and you do absentee owners over 55, 50% equity, you only get 5,000 people, 6,000. So to say, okay, if we want to scale, we have to do this like this. If we just want to do indie, or we have to maybe go to a different market. I don't know, and we're kind of in that stage. So
yeah. And how many times are you mailing those people? What's the interval?
Yeah, so pretty much we do about 5,000 letters a week, because we only have one guy that takes all the calls, and he can only handle us mailing 5,000 letters a week. And then we'll just mail to one list, like in January. Then February mail to a different list, and then March we'll mail to the same January people. So every other month we're basically hitting those people. So we basically have two lists, and then every other month we'll hit them. And then sometimes we'll start off with a yellow letter, and then next month we'll do a postcard. Next month we'll do a typed letter, like an office letter. Next month we'll do a different postcard. We just kind of hit it like that. So each year they'll get different things. Yeah,
I think that's smart, because then you're getting people that respond to different types of, so if you always do the yellow letter or the personal thing, you're missing out on the people that feel like there's no credibility there, or there's, are you a real deal, or are you some kind of scammer kind of thing?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. So, and then you had talked before the show, we had talked a little bit about where you're getting your leads and deals from. And you said that you were buying some HUD houses. Would you mind talking about like what your process is for that?
Yeah, definitely. So, when I first got started, the market was a lot different, and I didn't know anything about direct mail, and all we did was MLS offers. And, I'm getting ready to give this presentation this Saturday on the top 10 ways to find deals. Okay. So, some people, I believe that if you use any of these strategies, you can build a great business if you just do direct mail, or if you just do MLS offers, or you just do HUD deals. But with where we want to go and how we want to scale, our goal is to do 20 properties a month. And so, we got to find different lead sources to fill our tunnel. So if we're doing 20 deals a month, like I got a sheet right now I'm looking at, our last 50 deals, I pulled them up, and 46% came from direct mail. So that's our bread and butter. That's where that's where it's at. We have a lead generation website that we got 5 deals from. HUD deals, we got 3 deals out of those 50 from HUD. We got 6 deals from making offers through the MLS. So when you're trying to scale to that amount, you need more deals to fill your funnel. And I've always been a huge component of HUD. I love HUD. You talk to any other agent, they'll probably say, I hate HUD because it's so tedious, and it's so time consuming. But I say it's only time consuming if you get the deal accepted. And if you get a great deal accepted, I'm going to want to spend the time
right?
to do it. So basically with HUD, we have a system set up, and I've played trial and error and just a lot of different things. Basically, we have a spreadsheet, and we have all the houses listed in Indiana that HUD has. So right now, if you go to HUDHomestore.com, which is HUD's website, and you type in Indianapolis, there might be 200 houses for sale in Indianapolis. Now, some of those are going to be owner-occupied, so you can't even bid on them as an investor. So maybe that eliminates like 60 of them. So now you're down to 140. And then I have an agent in my office, and we basically monitor our HUD deals. So we have a spreadsheet, and you can import them directly from the HUD Home Store to a spreadsheet. It'll have the property address, it'll have the list price, and then it has our offer price. So we basically have a system set up. And then I tell my agent, I say, look, I want you to offer 25% of the list price on every HUD property, okay? So they do that. Now, are we going to get that accepted? No. Maybe 1 out of 1,000. But it pretty much puts it on the system, on the HUD Home Store, in our spreadsheet, so that we can start monitoring it. Because HUD has some algorithm formula where every day they're going to start countering your offer. So even if they're asking 100,000 and you offer them 25,000, the next day they're going to counter your offer. And that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for, what is HUD going to counter me at? And then sometimes it's usually like 80% of what they're asking usually. But what we do is we start monitoring that, okay? And then I know that we start monitoring the days on the market, and I know that once it gets about 90 days on the market, HUD starts getting a little antsy, right? They start getting a little motivated. And then we start looking at, and we start checking the comps, we start analyzing the deals, and we take that 25%. Now we might up it to 50% of their asking, just depending on where we need to be at. And then our broker takes them, and she puts in offers every single day. Now, are you going to get a bunch accepted? No. We're putting in 50, 60, 70 offers a day. And like I said, out of the last 50 deals that we did, we got 3 HUD deals, and those are going to make us money. It's just another system to add to your funnel of deals, which I think doesn't take a lot of time. I can literally put in a HUD offer in 2 minutes because it's all on the computer. You put in your name, your list price, and all that, or your offer price, and it's not like you're writing up a bunch of forms, so it doesn't take long. So we can put in 50 HUD offers in 2-3 hours. So
yeah, and I think if you look at in terms of 10 deals from direct mail, doing over 20,000 pieces, all those calls that you got to take, all the analysis, versus that and getting 3, there's probably less time in that for the 3 than there was in 3 of the direct mail.
Yeah,
right?
Definitely it is. And if you have an agent in your office, obviously if you just hire some agent, they're probably not going to want to put in 50 HUD offers a day.
How do you incentivize? Do you incentivize that somehow with them?
Well, usually we give them, on the accepted deals, we might give them like half of the commission, because obviously you get commission back too. And then we'll also pay them like a base, like an hourly rate. And usually it takes them at an hour a day. So, that's pretty much it. So, whatever you want to pay in base, you just take that times, what is it, $15 an hour or $20 an hour, something like that. And then they get that base, and we also give them half the commission on the accepted deals is how we do it.
Nice. So whenever so you had that spreadsheet, right? I'm just going to recap just to make sure I got this right. So you got the spreadsheet, you've got all the ones that allow investor offers. They don't have, sometimes HUD, they have the where it's only homeowner occupants or teachers and stuff like that can bid on them first.
Yes.
And then they fall into the category where anybody can bid on them. So you make sure that you can bid on them as an investor, because you're not going to live in the house. And then you put out offers of 25% of the asking price.
That's what we do, and that just gives, and that the only reason why we do that is to get HUD's counter, because they have a computer algorithm that they counter you every day on your offer. So I don't really care what they're asking. I just want to know what their counter is, because that gives me what do I really need to be, and then I can take that 25% and then I can analyze the deal and then move it up.
So at that point, you probably go out there and actually look at the house, right? If what they countered at was pretty reasonable.
If we start getting close, then we'll, like I just looked at one this morning because we were only, $5,000 or $6,000 off. So I said, okay, let's just go check this one out.
Yeah. Do they still use only certain? Are they all on? What are those lock boxes called?
Do they use the HUD key?
Yeah.
There's definitely a master HUD key out there.
There used to be like 4. It would always rotate between like 4, but. Yeah, I don't know.
They still do that, yeah. But I just, I'm also obviously a broker, so I can go, set up the showing and check out the house. But one thing I want to mention, we actually changed our formula a little bit, because, we were putting every offer in on HUD. There, the investors could put in, but we were, they were countering 80 offers, and then I was realizing my agent, it was taking them 3 hours a day, 2-3 hours a day to put all those in. I was like, but we weren't getting hardly any of them. So it was taking a lot of time. And I was like, then I started noticing that we were only getting the ones that HUD started reducing the price. Okay. So, if you go to the HUD Home Store, they actually have a button that says price recently reduced. Okay. So now, instead of putting them all in because I noticed we were only getting the ones accepted that they started reducing the price. So now we only look at the price recently reduced properties, and we'll just use those. So all of a sudden, it went from 80 properties every day to now like 20 to 25. But I realize now, like when we're skimming our HUD spreadsheet, we're actually getting a lot closer on those, and those are the ones we're going to try and get anyways because HUD starts reducing their price, and we're starting to get closer and closer, and we start monitoring those. So check out the HUD Home Store on recently reduced properties because for us, those are the ones that we get more acceptance.
Yeah, that's an awesome tip. Now, you don't worry that by doing that you're going to miss the ones where they're, well, I guess since most of it's automated, like it's not like where you're going to hit them right before they're going to price reduce it anyway, right? Because they have it set in the system. Like we're not going to do it unless we do it.
Yeah.
So that doesn't matter so much, right? So.
Yeah. And just by doing this for a while, I mean, HUD prices them. I mean, I don't remember when the last time we actually bought a HUD property when they had it priced right their very initial price. So we're monitoring because HUD has some formula that, let's say they're asking $100,000 for a property. Well, they might counter you, like I said, at 80%. But then let's say it's been on the market for a month. Now they've reduced it from 100 to 87,000. Well, their formula also they're countering not at 80%, but they start lessening that. Maybe now they're countering at 75%. So like we just kind of monitor that, and then like as soon as they reduce a property, we're checking it out because we know that if it's a good deal, the other investors are going to be jumping on it too. So we're like the day they reduce the property, we're like, if we need it, we need to jump on it. So
yeah, and you're wholesaling, so do you feel like you're able to pay more than some other investors because you have a big buyers list that you can market to, or?
Obviously, as a wholesaler, it's tough to compete with, maybe flippers because that's who we normally sell to, or buy and hold investors. But yeah, I mean, I think, as we get into this more, yeah, our buyers list gets bigger, and I know the market here very, very well. I'm a broker, so I can check comps very well. If I was in your market in San Antonio bidding on HUD properties, I probably wouldn't be able to compete very well because I don't really know your market. I would be super conservative. We used to do down in Florida HUD properties. I never got one because I didn't know the market very well, so I was going like way lower than what they probably should have been. So
you kind of know what your buyers are willing to pay for the properties already, so you already know where you're going to be, right?
Yes.
And then you're having to close on these before you sell them, like a double close, or how are you handling that with the wholesaling?
Yeah, so obviously HUD properties, you can't assign them. You have to do like a double close or buy and then sell later. Now, here in Indiana, our prices are probably not, and I don't know what San Antonio's prices are, Danny. But
I think it's pretty similar, actually.
Is it similar? Okay. So I've been doing this for a while, so obviously I don't really live way extravagant life, so a lot of the resources that I've made, I'm able to buy the properties and then sell them later. So yeah, we close on all of our HUD properties. Sometimes we do double closings, with the title companies, and we close with our end buyer the same day. But most of the time we'll just buy it and then sell it. And then if I can't buy it myself with my own resources, I have, private lenders, and they'll step in and, I have to pay a point or two and plus some interest, but our average deal right now probably is less than some other wholesalers around the nation, because I actually just got back from this mastermind. These guys are talking about they're making 10, 11 grand average per deal. One guy in New York was talking about making 30, and I'm like, what? Average is crazy.
Yeah.
And our average is probably around 7,000. To bring a private lender in, I'll pay them a point or 2 points and pay them $1,000 to make that 7,000. So sometimes we have to do that as well.
Yeah, it's still worth it though, right? I mean,
yeah.
I guess that makes it easier and it takes away some of the stress too, right? I mean, because if you're dealing with new buyers, and what's your take on that? I know that's sort of outside of the marketing thing, but with wholesaling, it's typically like two schools of thought, where you've got like a buyer's list of people that exactly what they want, and you kind of send the deal straight to them, or you have a big buyer's list and you try to get as much as you can, but you're taking a risk of having somebody be a little bit flaky. What do you guys do?
Well, I'm kind of I'm kind of changing a little bit because, I've always been the component where you don't need a big buyers list. You got 5 great cash buyers, you got 10 great cash buyers, and these are the guys who are going to buy 5 properties a month or whatever, 10 properties a month. I've always been that and treat them well. So I said, I'm going to send them my deals first. But then like I said, I go to this mastermind thing and they're like, we just have a big open house. We invite all of our investors. They get in this huge bidding war, and we get 10,000 more than what we thought. And I'm like, man, that could be a great idea. So now we're kind of trying that a little bit because we do want to increase our profit margins a little bit. And I've realized that a lot of times new buyers will pay a little bit more. It's kind of like what you deal with contractors at first. They're really, really great, and they pay. They do a really, really good job. But then maybe after a while, they start slipping a little bit. Same thing with cash buyers. At first, they're going to pay $50,000 for this property, but then you know them for 6 months, a year later, maybe that whittles down to $46,000 now because you built the relationship. They're like, come on, man, we know each other.
Right.
We hang out.
Or they find out that you made 25 on the last one, and they still bought it for what they wanted to, but that still irks them a little bit. So next time they negotiate more, right? So
yeah. I actually bought this one deal. It was in a great area here in Indianapolis in Fountain Square. And we wholesaled it to this really great investor who we sell a lot of properties to for $42,000. And then I found out my friend knows this other guy who bought that property from this investor. And these guys mostly flip, right? But they must have just wholesaled this because this guy made them an offer. They end up wholesaling it for $58,000.
Wow.
So to me, I'm like, wow, that I might have left a lot of money on the table by just thinking I want to treat these guys well, which, you do, but then it comes to maybe a certain point, because that's like 3 deals that I didn't have to do just by marketing it well or something.
There's one recently that really was like a punch in the gut to me. Because and it sucks because I think I made $50,000 on the wholesale. Now we bought it and then turned around and sold it to another investor, but made $50,000 on wholesale without really fixing the place up. It's awesome. You should be super pumped about it, and I was.
I know,
but
right?
I was curious about it because I was kind of unsure about the ARV, and that's why I wholesaled it. And then like maybe a year later, I looked. I was like, whatever happened to that property? And I saw what they fixed it up and sold it for, and it was like over maybe $250K more than what I figured for the ARV. Wow. And I was like, dude, that could have been like a $300,000 deal. So it was like a punch in the gut. But I don't know what they went through, and maybe it wasn't, but whatever. It still made out awesome. I'm not going to complain. But.
Yeah, definitely we did too. But yeah, you live and learn a little bit. But we're trying some different strategies now on the selling side. Like this one I just got, and we didn't price it because this guy said, he doesn't even price them anymore. He just sends them out to contractors, and they all show up, and investors, and they just get in a bidding war. So I'm trying that, but I don't know. Like it's not going super good. I feel like the response rate, people aren't even making offers because they don't know what I want. And so I'm trying. Oh wow!
So they're not even like throwing an initial price out there.
They're not. No, and it's a great area, and I'm wondering. Maybe they're just flaking out because maybe the way I worded it too, I said, "Hey, send us your highest and best offer by Wednesday of this date." I
hate that.
And okay, see, there's my mistake. I don't need to put that.
Yeah, because it feels like MLS. Like forget it. I don't know. But it could be also just a function of the size of the buyers list or the number of people you're reaching.
Yes.
If they've got, I talked to a friend of mine in Houston. Said he's got like 100,000 people on his buyers list.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So
I don't know how you get that many people. Like I don't have that big a buyers list. I honestly, we're on pace to do like 140 deals this year or something, and I think we only got like 1,000 people on the buyers list. So it's not crazy. Yeah. So
it's probably a function of both. Like build that up and find a better way to get people to feel like they've got a good chance of getting the property.
Yeah, definitely.
But that's crazy. Yeah, and I hadn't. I feel like I hear things like that, and it's probably an awesome idea. But my mind immediately thinks too much work.
Yeah.
But it's like if you make double what you would on the wholesale, it's like doing 2 wholesales for the one.
Know.
So really, is it more work? Probably not.
Yeah, definitely. It's just trying to figure out different strategies. And this is just a game that we're just, trying to do. On the marketing on the other side, I love sending out postcards. Once we get a property, I'll send out postcards to all the cash buyers in that zip code. Mm-hmm. that bought property cash in the last year. It has my picture on it, our website, the property, featured property. So we build our cash buyers list that way. That's a great strategy that we've definitely tapped into lately as well.
Yeah, awesome. All right, so we talked about the doing some of the direct mail, the HUD properties.
Yeah, pretty much. Some of the other, we have a lead generation website, which, if I were just getting started, that wouldn't be my first go-to strategy. I think that takes time. Sometimes I feel like I'm just dumping, money down the toilet because I don't know if it's working. I don't know if it's going to work. But in the last 6 months, it started off kind of slow. We've only been doing this for 6 months, the whole lead generation website, paying for Google AdWords, all that stuff. But, we've gotten about 5 deals out of the last 50 in that way. And, to me, it's like you don't get as many leads, but then sometimes you get great leads.
All right, less competition. Yeah, and and we do lead propeller websites. I offer websites for investors with the lead propeller websites. Yes. And we're doing AdWords management, and that's that's just the strategy recommended. Like you build up SEO over time because you're not going to rank immediately, especially people have been doing this for a while already. Mm-hmm. But you will over time, and it's really sticking with it long enough to let that happen, and knowing that there's going to be some work to do that or pay someone to do it. But the AdWords, that first week you can be getting leads.
Yes.
But it's going to cost you a little bit of money. But I think that the cost per deal for me with AdWords is definitely doable.
Yes.
And for most people, that's why most people do it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, we're doing that. 5 deals actually for us, came from referrals out of the last 50 deals. So these are basically it's just getting your name out there. I always tell people, in San Antonio, they probably have the RIA meetings. I always say, if you're a wholesaler, a real estate investor, if they open up the mic, you grab that mic and you say, hey, my name is, Brett Snodgrass. I'm with simplewholesaling.com, and maybe give out a property that you have. I don't know what it is, but that's really helped us because now I got 2 deals last month from just a guy, an agent that referred this investor that needed to sell his properties fast. He lives in the Czech Republic and he can't check on these deals. And this agent didn't want to take them because they're not in the greatest areas, and he's going to sell them for like $30,000 or $20,000 or $30,000. That was not a very big commission, and so he referred them to us. So that's been a great way, just branding, getting your name out there. But obviously that takes time, to do. And then our last one we just started doing is, again, we've gone back to the MLS, and I think it depends on your market, but that's how I got started. I put in 200 offers to the MLS. We would only get 10 of them. We would use those and we would wholesale them. So I think that as the market shifts, we all know it's coming, and Dan, you're probably going to know faster than what we do, because you're, and maybe not, but more like, I'm watching the California and Phoenix markets, and I'm watching that shift, because when we killed it was when the market took a huge shift, and we could buy bank-owned REO properties for pennies on the dollar.
Most of the competition goes away.
Yeah, and I'm waiting for that shift, and we all know it's coming, and Midwest is going to happen a little bit later, but we're getting MLS offers now, and I'm putting in 50 offers a month, and we got, I think, 3 last month, and people might say, you're lowballing, and I don't really consider it lowballing. I look at the comps, I analyze the deal, and I just offer them where we need to be at. Most of them are going to say no, but
so
some
are you doing that mostly
yes.
from the pictures, or are you going to hit them with a certain percentage just to fish for counters?
I actually been doing this now, so I'll take 20 properties off of the MLS each Monday, and I'll analyze them and comp them. So they'll be asking $50,000 for this property, and I'll comp it, and I'll say okay, and I just go off the pictures, and we'll say we need to be at 24,000. Well, that's not a very good offer, whatever, but some people are going to take it. For example, my employee lives next door to this house in a pretty good area. These comps, really great rehab area. They're selling for $200,000. This house next door to him goes up, and he wants us to buy it because he wants it rehabbed because it's going to help his house, right? So they're asking $82,000. It's like, hey, we need to put an offer in on this house, and it's listed on the MLS. I'm like, $82,000. I'm like, we're usually paying like $35,000 for these houses. They're not going to take that at all. He's like, oh, come on, let's just try it. And so he's an agent. Our office is like, hey, if you want to put in $30,000, let's do it. I don't care. And so then they come back and counter us at 50. So all of a
Nice.
sudden my eyes go up, and I'm like, okay, 50.
Yeah, there's
Like,
definite motivation there. Yeah.
yeah. So then I just said, look, just tell them our last offer is 39K, and they took it. They asked me 82, we get it for 39, and we
It's
made
incredible.
I think 15, 16 on that deal, and we wholesaled it. The rehabber, they're going to make a killing on it, and so they're out there, but it takes a lot of work. I told you about the really, really great one, but there was 50 other ones I didn't tell you about
Right.
that said no. So
yeah, and it
you
gets
can go
it gets to be time consuming. That's better done
Yeah.
for somebody to go through and just you pay them to do it for you.
So
But,
it just goes back to filling your funnel. Like right now, our market's only, again, 1.8 million people, so we can only do so much with direct mail, I think. We can only maybe do so much and spend so much on the website. But if we're trying to scale this to 20 deals a month, it just depends on your personality, depends on your business. We have to have these strategies in place. So, our strategy is 20,000 pieces in direct mail a month. We're spending, we're going to up our website. Now, we've only been spending $2,500 a month on our website because I was shaky. I didn't know if it was going to work. But we're going to up that. We're going to be putting in 100 MLS offers a month. So we'll probably get, 3 or 4 deals that way. We're still going to do our HUD deals. We'll probably get 2 or 3 deals that way. So all of a sudden it starts adding up and filling our funnel of deals. And that's how we do it. But you got to build systems around it.
yeah, and that's pretty cool. And I think for people just getting started, it's kind of cool to hear that because you're talking like on terms of scaled up business here. Whereas most people, out of all those things he just said, 5, 10, 3 deals here, 3 deals there, 5 deals here, you only need one of those.
Yeah, I know. That's what
per
I'm saying.
month,
You build a whole
really.
business.
If you've got a small operation, you only need really one per month, and you got a heck of a living.
Yeah. Here's what I would recommend to your listeners, and hopefully they, hear me on this. And this is what a guy told me, because I was doing about, 10 to 12 deals a month, and I was trying to scale this thing up. And then last month we did 26 deals under contracts.
Nice.
My acquisition guys really did well, and I was like, and people say, and I said, I think Indy, I've saturated the market. I can only do so much. I got to go to a different market. And then they asked me, it's like, is there other wholesalers in your market? And I was like, yeah. And he said, how many deals are they doing? And I said, well, I got this one guy, he's doing probably 100 deals a year. I got this one guy doing probably 50. I got this one guy doing another 60. And I got a lot of people doing, 10, 20 deals a month, or a year. And he said, okay, well, you need to be the premier wholesaler in your company. You need to get some of those deals that they're getting, and what are they doing? And I was like, okay, that's true. I still got a lot of room here to grow, and I don't have to go to a different market. So go to your market, see how many deals are the other wholesalers doing, what are they doing, and just do it better than what they do.
Yeah.
And I think it's gonna work.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, it's a lot more work, I think, to go and open up shop in another location.
It is, yeah, and it's just and I don't want to spread yourself too thin, and yeah. So I mean, it's you got to get a whole new team, and then is that going to bring tension to your existing team? And yeah, it's crazy.
So how many people, do you mind asking how many people do you have on your team?
Yeah, no, definitely. We pretty much this is all kind of came in the last year and a half. I did this business for about 8 years when it was really just me. My dad helped me some because he was kind of retiring, but now he's more retired. He's 63 or actually 65, I think, and so he doesn't want to, he doesn't want to work hard. He's kind of got definitely one foot in retirement. So pretty much it's me, and then I got 5 people on my team. I have 2 acquisitions people. I got one guy that takes all the phone calls, and he can handle doing about 5,000 letters a week. And then I got another guy. He goes to all the appointments. So him and the guy who takes the phone calls will work together. So the guy takes the phone calls. He puts them into our software, our CRM software, and then the guy with the appointments, the good ones, he'll go out and look at them, and he'll get them under contract. So there's 2 people. I got a closing coordinator, so he does all of our closings. He deals with the title company, because when you're doing 10 deals or 15 deals buying and selling, that's 30, 40 transactions sometimes, and I don't have time to do that anymore. So I got a guy that takes care of all of that, and then basically we have, and this is just brand new, we only had one dispositions girl who would sell all of our properties to cash buyers and build our cash buyers list. But then now Jaron, who's on our podcast, he's stepping into the role also of the dispositions, because we all know that you make money when you buy your property, right? We all know that. So you can make a lot of money on buying your property. But when I went out to this mastermind group, I realized you can still make more money on the sales part of your property. Maybe you can't make as much on the negotiating on the buying, but you can up your price by $1,000 a deal. Maybe it's $2,000 or $3,000. And when you spread it over 100 deals or 150 deals like that in a year, $1,000 a deal is $150,000, or $2,000, it's $300,000. So we're trying to get more. What are some strategies we can do to up our profit margin a little bit?
Right.
And so we're looking at that as well. So it's pretty much me and 5 other people, plus we got a couple of VAs and stuff.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. So it's important. Streamline every piece. Don't just focus on trying to generate more leads. I mean, if you take what you have that are coming in already and getting more out of those, you don't need to generate more leads.
And most people focus on the acquisitions, and I think that is the most important. But I think for me, a lot of times they call it this thing, the acquisitions-aholic. It's like the AA meetings where we focus so much on acquisitions, but then we forget about selling them. We forget about the back door. And right now, like I said, we got 26 properties in our contract last month. But now, like, if we don't keep up with that number on getting them sold, we're eventually going to have to slow down. And we don't, because you can't just buy more than you sell every month. So I think focusing on the selling part is also it can help your profit margins a little bit as well. So
that's awesome. Now it's good to hear, especially in this part of the series that we're doing on marketing, to understand that we are talking about acquisition side of it, but always keep in mind that your problem with growing might not be getting more leads. It's doing more with those leads, and then what you're doing with the deals that you get from there, and maximizing profits and always looking to streamline and make everything more efficient. So, so we're going to go ahead and wrap this up here. Brett, is there a place that where should people listening go to if they want to get in touch with you, or if they want to find out more about what you're doing and what you teach?
Yeah, definitely. Well, we have a podcast, the Simple Wholesaling Podcast. We just redesigned our website. We actually have 2 websites. We have simplewholesaling.com, and this is basically like a wholesaling hub, kind of like what you do, Danny, for flippers. We have a lot of blogs. We're coming out with some simple guides, these are like ebooks on like how to assign contracts, or how to do double closings, or how to do direct mail, or whatever. So that's simplewholesaling.com is like where you can learn a lot about how to wholesale. But then we have our property side, which is simplewholesaling.properties. And then that is basically we put all of our properties on the website. You can be added to our buyers list if you're looking for properties in Indianapolis. So either site, they're both interchangeable. You can get to the property site from the simplewholesaling.com site. So I would just say, check us out, simplewholesaling.com, and then shoot me an email, or, I'd really appreciate it.
Yeah, very cool. And definitely check out the podcast. And he interviewed me with Jaron just before we did this interview. So if you want to hear that, you can check that out. Definitely go check out their podcast. Definitely one to subscribe to and pay attention to. A lot of great info. But
yeah, I appreciate it, Danny. You're awesome. I love to hear about flipping, and just love everything that you're doing, man. And if we can help you in any way, we just, I think if we can all just collaborate together. Sometimes, as wholesalers or flippers, sometimes we feel like we're competing against each other. And I've realized, man, it's just, we're all in this together. There's you got to have that abundance mindset where there's so many deals out there. There's no secrets to it. You're either going to do it or you're not. And so I try to be transparent. Here's exactly how we do it. If you do it and you do it really hard, you'll do well. But most people won't, and that's the issue. So, but thank you so much for all you do, man.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, and the point you just made about the abundance thing, like people hear that and nod their heads, and then go and think like, there's people doing so many deals in my market, it's just hard to get in there. And it's like, you were just nodding your head about the abundance thing. It's like you have to believe it because it is true. I mean, there really is plenty to go around. And
I'm seeing guys doing a lot of deals, and they're all in the same market. Mm-hmm. I'm sure. I know I've met people from San Antonio in your market. I'm sure there's other guys doing
No,
deals.
just me.
Yeah, just you.
Yeah, no, I wish. Yeah, but there's plenty. We're still doing great, and all the plans to grow. I know there's room for it. It's not that I'm going to hit a wall, anywhere near where I'm trying to get. So it's just a matter of like saying, this is where I want to be, and what do I need to do to get there, and that's it. It's simple as that.
Yeah,
What's the first step, right?
definitely.
Well, thanks a lot, Brett. We'll definitely keep in touch. I really enjoyed the interviews, this one and the one we just had. So
Yeah, thanks a lot, Danny. Wish you the best, man.
thanks. Have a great day.
You too.